Many Republicans have stuck with Donald Trump following last January 6th and are in fact embracing his lies, seemingly as the core of their political ideology and identity. And this is nowhere more true than in those who are running to become secretaries of state in states around the country. NPR has found 15 different Republicans who've denied or cast doubts on the 2020 election results, running to be the chief election officer in 12 different states, including 6 of the 7 states that Biden had his slimmest victory margins in, which means that if they win, the attempts in 2020 to overturn at the individual state level or altogether at the federal level election results, that didn't work in 2020 because they didn't have the right people. They are putting those people in every election in the interim.
The GOP has been incredibly organized, not just on the issue of voter suppression and the erosion of our democracy, but they've been organized for decades in ensuring that our judicial system is just completely filled with conservative activist judges. And we're not seeing similar activity on the left, which is concerning. We're not seeing it on a local level, and we're not seeing it on a federal level in response to the very voter suppression that they themselves talk about. They talk about it in their campaigns, they talk about it in their press conferences, they talk about how much of a threat it is in their social media activity, so they understand the threat. But they refuse to do the work necessary to respond to it. They refuse to engage in the fight necessary to defeat the behavior that we're seeing on the right. Yeah. And that's the thing that really concerns me, right? Oftentimes we get criticism for being too critical of the left or being too critical of the Democratic Party. But the fact of the matter is, Republicans tell us who they are every day. They're transparent about it. Whereas Democrats position themselves as the individuals who are poised to fight back against the Republican Party, but they don't do it. They don't do it. They present themselves as something that does not bear, that doesn't actually play out in real life. And that's what frustrates me the most about the Democratic Party. They're the ones we're supposed to turn to as the individuals who are supposed to protect our democracy and fight back, but they're not fighting back.
The right-wing assault on voting rights continues. In this case, we're going to Arizona, where Doug Ducey yesterday signed legislation to expand US citizenship voting requirements in the state, in an obvious bid to get some people who had previously been totally legally allowed to vote to suddenly discover when they go to vote that they won't be able to. So Ducey disputed testimony from local officials and voting rights advocates who say an unknown number of voters, predominantly older, longtime Arizona residents, will be purged from the state's voter rolls because the last time they registered to vote, there was no requirement to provide proof of citizenship. Critics say that those voters would then need to register again. And based on the timeline of when that would happen, oops, maybe you don't get to participate in an election. One estimate, by the way, of how many people might be affected by this and have their ability to vote stripped away puts it as high as 192,000 voters. That estimate of 192,000 votes, think about what effect that will have in an election. Maybe a close election, maybe a close presidential election, like the last one, where Joe Biden won by 10,000 votes? Think about how close some of these are. And do you think that that escapes them, that they don't know that, oops, maybe some of these older voters, maybe we ran the numbers and we found that they had shifted a lot towards the Democrats. If you're a Republican watching this, you also know it's gonna disenfranchise some Republicans. Not enough for the Republicans to not do it, and they don't care that some Republicans who might have been voting for them for decades at this point will suddenly find that they can't vote. They don't care about that because they don't care about democracy. They'll strip away your right to vote as long as at the same time it strips 2 Democrats' rights away. So bear that in mind too. By the way, the craziness of some of this bill is we don't know exactly when it's gonna take effect. It is possible that you could successfully vote in the primary this year, and then when you try to vote in the general, find out that you can't. This is insanity. This is insanity, and it's happening in states around the country. And where are the Democrats? Asleep. They're not doing anything to protect your right to vote.